There it is. Is it working?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you for pointing it out. Okay, so like as I was saying, researchers care about these issues, and a lot of different researchers have developed localized findings about equity issues. And in my dissertation proposal work, I'm interested in how do we translate these conversations about equity to action, and how do we notice moment-to-moment interactions in equity? How do we enact equity, and how do we share equity-oriented practices? And so today what I'm going to share is these tenets that I've developed over the course of the research projects that I've engaged in with participants and community members in my work. And to me, equity is about enabling youth to live the richest life possible and to reach their full potential. It's not about producing sameness, and it's about starting with a historical analysis of the injustices that they face. So the approach for this work has been a reflective cross-case analysis to distill tenets of a human-centered design approach. And those tenets I've named currently for my dissertation, and I'm going to review them in action in my final study, which will be with English language learning families. So the first tenet I want to exemplify by talking about this work that I've been doing with English language learning families, where youth are supporting their parents in searching for critical information online. And they're finding information about mortgage, about healthcare, about finances and education. And I argue that these knowledges are made invisible by power structures where dominant narratives of being English language learning, being low income, overshadow the knowledge that is happening in the home as youth are supporting their families. The second tenet has to do with humbly listening to lived experience. And this is work that we've been doing with Los Angeles families in sun protection. And instead of asking, how is it that we can help you protect from the sun? We start by asking, what is your lived experience of being in the sun in Los Angeles? What are the different ways that your family engages outside, and how could we support you in sun protection practices, but by informed from your lived experiences? Our third tenet, I'll exemplify with an example with work that we've been doing with teenagers in virtual reality. And to me, this means treating people like people, not with a stereotype or starting with implicit bias. So this work has been doing virtual reality with incarcerated youth in the Seattle area. And going in, it's treating them like teenagers that are playing VR. So what is it that we could provide and offer if they had access to resources in the setting that they are currently in? The fourth tenet has to do with creatively informing generative implications. And for this tenet, I wanted to show a project that we've been doing with visual note-taking, where we are supporting undergraduate engineering students to say, how is it that you might take up notes in the classroom and shift agency back to students to support active learning. Tenet 5 has to be with my implications, thinking about what is it, who will be served by the researcher with a focus on those from within. So not only offering to practitioners that might be in leadership positions, but offering to practitioners that might have resources, that have connections, that have community members, but again, due to power structures, might not be elevated in those positions that they are. So how might the research findings support them in navigating those situations? My sixth tenet has to do with intentionally involving community members. And throughout my work, I actively make myself visible and present, not only in the research data collection process, but after we collect research findings. So this is work that I've been doing in makerspaces in different locations in the UW area. Tenet 7 is about strategically translating invisible knowledge. And I argue that as a scholar, I've developed an emergency capacity to notice, translate, and represent the invisible knowledges that I see. So this is work between students that are master's students in design and children. And as they're engaging in co-design process, how do we notice the different things that they're doing and supporting each other and engaging with each other and develop design ideas together? And this leads to my last tenet of actively doing equity. This is work that we've been doing with youth in the Columbia City neighborhood about supporting youth to fulfill their hopes and inspirations of what they want to see as 3D printed and what type of 3D printing curriculum they want to do. And it's not about the 3D printing necessarily, it's about the entire process of working with community members, of asking the children how they're doing, of asking the teenagers how they're doing, because families, youth, and children can't wait for change to happen. So the goal of my final dissertation study will be to demonstrate these tenets in action and to generate localized knowledge about online search and brokering. And I argue that for social change to happen, we have to recenter the people in these positions to be in power of their own narratives and futures. Thank you.